This is my hermit crab, Dante. He's my jumbo hermit crab. He's very large. He's about the size of a baseball. And he's just come up from a molt. I got Dante in March 2012, so I've had him for about 2 years. He's molted 3 times with me. The first time took about 2 months. The second time took 2 months and 2 days. And this third time took 55 days. So this last molt was actually his fastest. You see he's got all this dirt encrusted on him. He just came up yesterday. I've left him alone for the first 24 hours so he can eat. I've given him lots of different food, honey, walnuts, krill, shrimp, everything. And now I'm going to give him a bath and reintroduce him to the other hermit crabs. For those of you that have watched my other videos, you know that I used to put stress coat just in their baths and not in the drinking water. But I've actually done some research about it, and it doesn't seem like putting stress coat into the drinking water does anything to harm the hermit crabs. It might even actually help them. We're not sure at this point. I've switched over to using the stress coat as my main dechlorinator for all my water, and so far, so good. So this water is dechlorinated using this dechlorinator that contains stress coat, and I'm just going to bathe Dante for a while. Try to get him all clean. Now, I have a toothbrush. I'm not going to use it today to clean his shell because he's just come up, and I want to give him a couple days to clean his own shell. If he's still dirty in a couple days, I'll clean him with a toothbrush. Dante is a purple pincher crab. You can see he's a very dark red color. He's gotten a little bit more purple on this last molt. Dante also now has very long tips off the end of his legs. It actually hurts to hold him. He can scratch you with them. So now when I handle Dante, I'm probably just going to use a towel or gloves. Either way, it'll be fine. Because Dante is so large, finding shells for him in regular crab stores or regular pet stores or craft stores can be really hard. So the best place to go is the internet. I got 2 shells about this size for him over Christmas, but he was buried over Christmas, so he hasn't seen them yet. They're about the next size up. They're a little bit heavy compared to what he's got on right now. He's been in this shell pretty much the past 3 years. He's been in this shell for 3 years. This is not the shell he came in, but once he switched into it, he never switched out. I hope he switches out soon because I'd like to really deep clean it. It's got crevices and things, and I really want to boil the shell. But maybe he'll switch into one of these nice ones. They've got mother of pearl lining. They're nice size. These I also got from Naples Seashell Company. One of the good things about having a jumbo crab is that you can really see all of the tiny parts of a hermit crab because they're enlarged. Trying to get a shot of Dante's gills and all his little hands inside there. See all the fur he's developed, all the hair he's grown during his molt, and how long his antennae are. It's a really beautiful crab, very healthy, always been very active. When I first got Dante, he had mites, so I kept him separated from the other crabs for a couple of months. He stayed in his own 10-gallon tank, which arguably is not big enough for this type of crab, but it was just him, so there weren't other crabs crowding him or stressing him out. But I needed to keep him isolated until I got the mite problem down, and he hasn't had mites since. Just did regular baths with him, kept the substrate and tank very clean, replaced the water almost daily, and he no longer has the mite problems. This is the tank I molted Dante in. Because Dante is so large, and because he buries for usually 2 months, I can't let him molt in the main tank. It's too dangerous. Other crabs could dig him up, or I might have to move from one place to another, and it'd be too difficult to move with him in the large tank. So this is a 5.5-gallon tank, and you see I filled it up almost halfway here with substrate. I've actually moved it since, so it was actually higher before. And once he started showing molting signs, he started digging around the main tank. I isolated him in this tank, put a whole bunch of heaters on it, and he buried right away. That was back in December, a couple days before Christmas. I think it was December 23rd when he buried in this tank. And he just came up yesterday, which was February 16th. So he was under, I believe, for about 55 days. Now, he would not be able to live in a 5.5-gallon tank. This is just an ISO tank for the molting process. I also use this tank to isolate other crabs when they're sick. Because Dante was buried for most of the time he was in this tank, there wasn't anything in here but one bowl of water. I was checking on the tank every day to see if when he would come up. Once he came up, I gave him 2 bowls of water, one fresh and one salt, and I gave him a huge dish of food. He's been working on this dish for about 24 hours, and most of it's gone. It was like filled to the brim before. When hermit crabs come up for a molt, they're very hungry. Oh, and I gave him some honey as a treat. He loves honey. When hermit crabs come up for molt, they're very hungry, and Dante's huge, so he really eats a lot. He ate all of this. This had egg in it. I gave him eggshell with egg in it, and the egg is totally gone. He ate the whole thing. He must have just been working on that all night. This is the first crab Dante has seen in almost 2 months. After hermit crabs molt, I tend to slowly reintroduce them to each other out here in the romp tank. Before Dante molted, he tended to be fine with the smaller crabs. Occasionally he'd grab one and roll them around and leave them. None of the smaller crabs have shells that are even remotely the size Dante needs, so it's not like there's going to be a shell fight over it or anything. I think he's eating dirt. Many of the smaller crabs like to climb on Dante. This is Lolita. That's what she seems to be trying to do. Dante's not having any of it. Dante is checking out Quinn in the corner. Now Quinn is checking out Dante with her feelers. And they're talking to each other. See, Dante's flicking his feeler back because he wants to know who's on top of him.